Hello, and welcome to Allegheny County Library's Let's Get Lit. This is where we talk about exciting titles so you, our patrons, can know what to read next. We will be talking about hot new titles to the library and also still burning titles, which may be older but are ones we have loved. Let's Get Lit is available in video format on the ACLS YouTube as well as in podcast format on Apple, Google, and Spotify, so you can subscribe for updates when we release new episodes. Let's Get Lit will be bi-monthly, and we would love your feedback as we do this. Contact information will be in the description as well as at the end of the episode. Any titles mentioned will have links to our catalog in the description as well. Now, let's get lit. This episode briefly contains strong language and mention of adult topics.
I'm Allie.
I'm Shane.
I'm Liz. I'm Laura. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about campfire tales. These are stories that we think would be appropriate to tell sitting around a campfire. But first,
Liz, who didn't get the memo, wants to talk about some books.
I did get the memo. I have something to talk about. But I'm going to talk
about the book she's reading now.
The books that I just recently read. Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zollner. It's an unflinching, powerful memoir about growing up Korean American, losing her mother, and forging her own identity. It is an excellent book. And I'm not all about memoirs, but this was really good. The other book is The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee. It's a powerful exploration of inequality, the lesson that generations of Americans have failed to learn. Racism has a cost for everyone, not just for people of color. Excellent book.
Page 2.
And these are books that are coming out. Somebody's Daughter, it's a memoir by Ashley Ford. And the Kirkus Review says it's sure to be one of the best memoirs of 2021. And a book that is now out is called The Last Green Valley by Mark Sullivan, who wrote Beneath a Scarlet Sky. A compelling and inspiring story of heroism, courage, in the dark days at the end of World War II.
Thank you, Liz.
Excellent, Liz.
well, I recently read a book that falls under Campfire Tales. It doesn't come out till the very end of August. I think it comes out like August 31st. I got an advanced reader's copy. It's Dark and Shallow Lies by Ginny Sain, and it takes place in the Bayou, New Orleans swamp area, and there's some mythology mixed in there, and it was so spooky. It's about a girl who goes there for the summer, and she finds out that her best friend is missing, and so she's kind of spending the summer figuring out what's going on. But it's a town of psychics, and there's all these weird abilities and stuff happening, and basically she keeps seeing these visions of what she believes is her best friend running away from someone trying to murder her. There's also a murderer that disappeared, and they think maybe he has come back, but the atmosphere of it was perfect. I am pretty good at guessing how things are going to end, and I was like, okay, yeah, I know how this is going to go, but it's still a good time. But it took what I thought I knew and flipped it on its head.
I guess the one that's most appropriate for all ages. Wait, I don't have anything like that. I tried to pick stuff with a simple premise that would make for simple campfire stories, and this one is called The Green Room. This is a DVD.
Wait, say the name again?
Green Room.
Green Room.
And this refers to the room in which performers stay whenever they
go on stage.
Yes. This is a horror action movie about a punk band made up of 3 young guys and a girl in a ramshackle band just trying to make it from gig to gig. They hear about an opportunity to play a show in a secluded club in a remote part of Washington State.
Oh dear.
What they don't know after they make it backstage is that the venue they're playing at is operated by a neo-Nazi organization.
Oh dear.
After witnessing a murder, they have to fight their way out of the club to survive. There's tons of grisly, cathartic violence, and I love that nobody is safe in this movie. The dialogue is sparse and realistic. There aren't any scenes where someone delivers a monologue about what being in a band means to them and how their friendship will keep them safe. It's brutal, ugly, and fucking awesome.
What? Oh.
And Patrick Stewart plays the neo-Nazi Big Bad. It's available in the catalog on DVD. That's Green Room from 2017.
I don't know.
The speed at which you were talking increased.
I'm going to check these papers from here on out.
It was warranted.
Well, my campfire tale is the best campfire tale of all time, The Headless Horseman, or The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. That is probably one of the most retold tales of all time. Every TV show, every genre, every anything does different variations on it, and the story is just fantastic. It's very short because it was just one part of I think he called them sketchbooks, Washington Irving, when he wrote them, but he actually heard those tales when he was a kid, traveling up and down the Hudson River Valley. We obviously have that book, but like the Disney cartoons, also phenomenal. I think Bing Crosby does the voice of the narrator and sings the songs. The version, Tim Burton's version, for the atmosphere and the characters, but I don't like that they changed Ichabod Crane to a police constable from New York. I did not like that change, but it's good atmospheric. The TV show, at least the first couple of seasons, is excellent. And like I said, there's multiple variations of it. If you've never read the like short story, I would suggest you listen to it on audiobook before reading it, because it's so lyrical when it's spoken out loud.
My campfire story is The Legend of Washington Street Library. And
Is that-
all the spooky
Is that
stuff
written,
here.
Liz? Has anyone written that?
No, we've all talked about it.
That'll be a
All
good
of our
retirement
experience.
project for you.
All of our experience.
It's an oral tradition.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell it frequently.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
I wanted to talk about the graphic novel When I Arrived at the Castle by Emily Carroll. This is by the author who did Through the Woods. Love her stuff. It's very short, very digestible. It'll stay with you for a long time. Her words are, in my estimation, in perfect harmony with her illustrations. Every panel has a wonderful use of sort of distorted space and overwhelming terror. Every panel is very overwhelming. The story involves a quest to kill a monster in a castle, but what if the monster just wants to play? My review from
Good way?
in an adult way.
Okay.
My review from 2019.
Cheers, Lord.
Emily,
What's happening with you right now?
Emily Carroll's illustrations feel alive and intimidating in a way that perfectly suits her strange and beautiful stories. There's a constant undercurrent of eroticism and playful menace throughout the story about confronting a monster. It will leave you with uncertainty, and in 72 pages, wanting more from the world that is conjured. Available in Marina.
What, you dying in there?
I was going to say it in an adult way.
I thought we were going into, like, down the Casper Road.
I don't think Casper's involved.
No. Once he read on, I realized that could not be the case.
Couldn't be the case. Sorry, Shane, go ahead.
That's all. It's already finished.
So this is not a story that you could ever tell in one sitting at a campfire, but The Historian by Elizabeth Costello. That is, I listened to it and it sounds like you are literally sitting in a ring of people around the fire telling you this story. I mean, you would probably have to sit down in front of the fire like 30 times because it's a very large book. But the hunt for Vlad the Impaler, who has apparently continued through history, but as a vampire, and there's a secret society that is kind of hunting him down, and we follow a father and a daughter, and how they kind of get involved in the secret society, and her father goes missing, and then she has to hunt him down along with Vlad.
It takes place all over the world.
There's a lot of spooky ancient libraries and the
and his
scenery,
voice.
and yes, the voice is, Vlad's voice is spooky.
So spooky.
Fantastic. Even though it's quite detailed and you're hearing about like their personal lives connected to one another, like I guess there's surprise attacks and whatnot, but even though it's kind of very detailed, I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Excellent.
Because you just want to know like what's going to happen next and who is connected to who and how does this relate to this, and yes.
And she did research it well. Like everything that happens over in Romania and Transylvania and all that, like that's researched very well. But I read the book first. It's one of my favorites. And then when I had my LASIK eye surgery, I listened to the audiobook and I had fallen asleep because I would fall asleep throughout the story because I already knew it. And I woke up to his Vlad the Impaler's voice and I was like, what's going on? And I couldn't see.
Is it
was
unique?
like really dark.
Is it unique in the way it's depicted? Like it doesn't resemble any other movie depiction or anything like that?
Because it's not like that like I want to suck your blood creepy voice, which are not going to. No, it's a very deep drawing. Like has a Transylvanian accent, but an authentic one, not a one that has become
Gary
a
Oldman had an authentic
caricature
one
of itself.
1992.
Yes, and it's so well done.
Yeah.
Really, really
Something
good.
Yeah, that voice.
There's I will say, watch on Libby because there is an abridged version, which you might not realize that you've gotten until you've already finished it.
And missed 700 pages or something.
But if you want an abridged version, it has all the main points. It just kind of cuts out some of the more personal details to the people.
That's another good October.
That's when I read it.
My last one is called, I just read it, and I think I talked about it when I talked about up-and-coming things. It's called Chicago's Children, and it's a crime drama, but also based off of the Pied Piper legend, which I never thought about it, but the Pied Piper lured the kids away and then killed them. So if you think about that aspect, it's and so it is honestly a love story to all things that Grimm brothers and fairy tales and the different translations and how they came to be because people would tell them how we're talking now and then they were written down and then they were edited and then Disney got involved and cleaned them all up and made them sparkly and pretty, but they were made as cautionary tales for children. And so, what makes it interesting is it is also using what's actually happening in Chicago with all of the homicides and the things that are actually currently happening there. And there's a real crime drama that's going on, and it's all kind of wrapped up together. It's a very short read. I read it in half a day. It's probably only 300 pages, but it's one of the smaller books. It's not the full-size page. I don't know what you call those.
It reminds me of Candyman, the urban.
That makes
legend.
Candyman is spoken about. And just I also didn't realize how many authors, Frank Baum, The Wizard of Oz, he lived in Chicago for a time, and there was a ton of different storytellers and things that lived in Chicago. And so the actual history of the city, which is vast and they've mentioned the mob, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Al Capone, it's jam-packed full with things that I just found interesting on every page. And they pull the stories together. So yeah, the Candyman legend is mentioned.
I have two more.
Are they going to be appropriate, Ginny?
They're appropriate for R-rated audiences.
Liz, what's happening?
So, we're all familiar with the trope of the body swap comedy with Freaky Friday.
Yes.
And a movie recently came out called Freaky.
Oh.
Did you see it?
No, but I wanted to, and I forgot
It's
about it. Isn't Vince Vaughn in that? Oh.
Yes, it looked good. I tend to only watch horror that has possibly funny moments.
It's hysterical and scary.
What's happening with the chain? Let's hear.
This is a body swap horror comedy about a serial killer character who swaps bodies with a teenage girl. Vince Vaughn plays the very Jason Voorhees killer and is amazing as a 16-year-old girl. He has to meet up with his teenage friends and try to convince them that he's actually their friend. And he's flailing about, and it's insanely good.
Do we have this?
Yes, we do.
Oh.
DVD and Blu-ray. It has a lot of over-the-top kills.
That's okay.
A lot of visceral violence. It's pretty inventive in this genre for a slasher movie. It's also clever about the body swapping trope. So it has some twists and turns that you don't expect. I highly recommend it for anyone who likes
Was
the
it your
comedy.
recommendation to order it?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
No.
I figured it would be.
No, we're real
I'm
about it.
so excited that we have that. And we currently have this.
Yes.
Yay! Okay.
Yeah, check it out. The other one I wanted to briefly mention, this is definitely a hard R. It's called Sleepaway Camp, and this is one of the best campfire story movies, I think, because it's dealing with that old, tired kids go away to a summer camp and there's a killer on the loose, but the people that are getting killed are kind of bad in this situation.
So the kids are bad that are getting there?
Well, there's adults that are overseeing the kids that
Okay.
are not great. And
Okay.
the movie starts off with a prologue about two siblings in a boat crash, and only one survives. And then there's a hard cut to the Sleepaway Camp sequences, and at the end of the movie, it will leave you with a scene that has been unmatched in horror movies. It's one of the most disturbing things you'll ever see, and it'll completely catch you off guard. You won't see it coming, but it's thrilling all the way through. And you might look at it and say this is just another cheesy 80s slasher movie that's dealing with the same, premise, kids going away, but this is completely unique, and Marina has it. It's from 1983.
That is it for this episode. Thank you for watching or listening, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for Let's Get Lit. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. If you have any questions, suggestions, or want recommendations, please contact us either in the comments section, by giving us a call, or by emailing us at letsgetlit@AlleghenyCountyLibrary.info.